Right. And this is what African Americans, if you're listening right now to this show, we can't get caught up in this. Truth has to be the new agenda for why you argue. Truth, 9/11 truth. Truth. If you got information, if you know what's going on, you can't deny the truth. And as much as I appreciate just the fact that I know my elders and ancestors wished for this day. They wished for an African-American president. But then when you ask my people, but why do you want an African-American president? What do you think an African-American president is going to do different than any other ethnic group that becomes president? What do you think? We all become stumped at that point. You know, we all start talking about just this blind loyalty, which is what I'm pretty much concerned with, which is what my point is, this blind loyalty, or just because he's African American, he's not to be scrutinized or to be linked really with that global agenda. So, you know, once we cheer him on, we respect, we're proud, we're this, we're that. We all talking about getting back to work and rolling our sleeves up, and we got work to do in America. But what work are you doing?
Exactly. Notice there's no specifics in what he says, but then when you look at what he's really saying, a domestic 18 to 24 military boot camp to serve the government, and he says, I want a new world order, and all of his advisors are involved in eugenics. And then one of the first things he does is fund abortions and the whole UN agenda, which we know is euthanasia, and so much more in Africa, in China. I mean, that's the thing. A year ago when Obama said, I'm going to end the warrantless wiretapping, I'm going to get us out of the war, I went on air and said, okay, if he doesn't bait and switch, I like Barack Obama. But then automatically he started turning up, and again, he's well-spoken, he's charismatic, he isn't this little devilish creature, Bush, who's arrogant. I mean, he comes off really slick, but I mean, that's what's so scary, is that I know it's a giant New World Order psyop, because he says, everybody get behind me, I'll make it better, you know, I'll fix it all. Meanwhile, the banker bailout is $8.5 trillion and growing by offshore banks, which we're going to have to pay back in taxes. It's the total New World Order takeover. I mean, can you specifically speak to what you were starting to get into earlier when we almost got cut off there with the break coming in that I ended? I mean, specifically, if you had 1 minute to warn Americans, not just black Americans, to not hate Obama, but to just don't suspend disbelief. Don't mindlessly turn yourself over to him, because we saw that with Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and others. I mean, every time in history we see people just mindlessly get behind something, it normally turns bad.
You actually summed it up right there. That mindless loyalty is really, and that's beyond African Americans. I mean, I would respectfully start with African Americans, because this is how the issue's being played out, that this is our president, that this is our victory, that somehow we are to be ecstatic because it's an African American president. And in a cosmetic sense, I can join in on that rhetoric, but in a truthful sense, in a scholarly sense, even in a godly sense, it's not about the president at all. Give you an example. Everyone's putting the economy on Barack Obama and saying, you know, he has a plan for the economy, and he's going to do this for the economy. And, well, what is your plan, President Obama, for the economy? Not realizing that the economy has nothing to do with him.
It's run by offshore. It's run by offshore private banks, and I mean, that's the thing.
Right.
Is that he's this big diversion and big distraction when he is a puppet, just like Bush was a puppet. If he tries to become a real president, it's what Hugo Chavez said last week. They'll do what they did to Kennedy.
Exactly, and Martin and all the others. Now, here's the point: if he tries to be a president for the people for real, he's going to have to go against the corporate structure that actually holds the country together, that actually put him in office. There was arguments that Hillary Clinton made in the campaign, which I find ridiculous. I mean, not her statements, but the fact that in politics You argue with each other. You pull out everyone's faults. He ain't this. She ain't that. You did this. You said that. Then whoever wins, you kind of push all that to the side and say, well, now we have to support this guy here, and this is what it is. The president is like the manager of Burger King. You know, you only, when your fries are cold, when your hamburger isn't done right, you go to the manager and you say, my fries are cold. I want a new hamburger. Give me my money back. And the manager is there specifically to deal with your gripes. But you never get to speak to the franchise owner of Burger King. You never get to speak to the ones that really run the show. And this is the part right here that, and you said 1 minute, we kind of went over that. If there is one warning to give, it is do not mindlessly follow anyone. No one is worthy of being mindlessly followed, no matter what race they are, what religion, whatever they could drop out of the sky. You're not to be mindlessly followed because, number one, that's un-American. True American, if we can get back over to that real aspect of checking your government, being your own law unto yourself, being independent. See, this idea of supporting a president the way we are doing it, when I say we, meaning African Americans in particular, is taking away our independence, our independent thought. Are we going to check this guy for real? For real? Or are we just going to go along with the, the dollar is sinking, and they want to make Mexico, America, and Canada one thing, so to speak. What is going to happen to the United States? Because when you have this much debt, the only way out of it is either to enslave the people or the people go to war against their debtors. And this, too, was American. They got the country started.
And that's why they're moving in the troops in Northcom, because they know what they're about to do to us. Our only normal response would be to physically fight back. And listen, sir, I know you've got to go speak to that high school. I'm not limiting you. If you want to hold till 40 after, we can do it, but I know you've got to get in the car and go over and speak to that group. We'll do whatever you need to. But here's the big point, my big fear. I would love a patriotic, anti-New World Order, constitutionalist black president. I would bow down and kiss his feet. And I see the trap here. In the end, when everything falls apart, and it doesn't work because it's designed not to, Obama's going to get blamed for everything, and then that's going to really destroy black and white relations, which in my life I've seen getting really good. And this whole thing's going to turn into a nightmare. And I know the New World Order is fundamentally racist and really does hate black people from my study. And I believe this is a trap. I believe this is the ultimate suckering.
Not only can I take that in as advice, but you are absolutely correct, because what we got to look at is something is being set up. I mean, do you really think that the order of the world, which is really to just take resources, keep people stupid, turn us into batteries, so to speak, if that agenda, how can that agenda just go away with a new president? Either we're talking real war in the future, like civil war, here in the country in the future, or we're talking about, again, a few of us having knowledge and having freedom. Because that's really what knowledge is, really what freedom is knowledge. When you're aware, and they know you're aware, they really can't do much to you, even to the point of murder or trying to incarcerate you illegally. If you walk with the truth, if you have awareness, if you're one of the people like yourself, Mr. Jones, putting truth out there, making people think you're the one that they fear. And let me tell you, power only respects power. It only respects fear. It respects its own fears. It's not like what people think, oh man, these people fear me, so they're gonna kill me. No, it's if you don't, if you're going along with it like sheep, you're going to the slaughter.
Exactly. I've noticed the opposite. When you actually have a little bit of power, they respect you and smile at you and fear you. It's when you grovel to them.
It's when you grovel. When you grovel, that's when your head gets chopped off. But if you stand on your feet and say, no, I'm prepared to go against you, even if you're not, even if you know you're up against a force that you can't win, if you stand up to it, 9 times out of 10, it collapses because their power is artificial, fake, and it's all about your compliance to their authority.
All right, so KRS-One, we've got to take this break. I skipped the last one. Can you do 10 more minutes, or can you come back?
10 more minutes. Come on.
All right, you're the best. I know you got to go speak to those young people, and that's so important. I wish we would have gotten things worked out and got you in studio, but God bless you and your team for reaching out to us because we're big fans of you as well. KRS-One is our guest. Stay with us.